Well, Mr. Chairman, I yield, sir.
I want to say a pleasant good night to our Belizean, both at home and abroad, and to all our viewers and listeners. Some that will view us now and will some that will view us a little later on. And again, thank you for that support. And as always, I'm on welcome Mr. Leonard Brackett, our main hitter for the Belizean Affairs show.
Man,
It's a
man, go,
pleasant good night, sir.
man, make I go get set up, and you go plus somebody else again. Somebody come and knock me out.
But it's always a pleasure to sit in your company, and I know I haven't been on any charges for default a couple of times, so I hope I am not being charged.
Mr. Will, past time for calling people and telling them we have to collect something.
There, I was going to get to that, my brother, but
Would it be advisor to the government? And we do the politics for the opposition, and we do politics
yes,
for everybody else. Somebody should appear, give us some,
yeah.
what they call it, not subvention, what they call it, man. Anyhow,
Off the coffers. We need something off the coffers.
and then only that, but I mean, then pay their liars big time money, then pay the judges big time money, then pay the police them big time money, and pay all the different departments them big time money. And we have to get in there and hide and kick them hide to make them do the job.
Yes,
You know,
and to those, my brother, who watch our program, like I say, they know that we we are the, like you just said it, the hard hitter, because we speak truth and hardcore truth. We don't dissect and we don't favor. If they are wrong, we say they are wrong, and if they do right, we say they do right. We have nothing to lose here on Belizean Affairs, nothing at all. And Leonard, is always, like I say, a pleasure to sit with my crew, and hopefully Mr. Gregory Brackett, our next senior panelist, our Monday night chairman, will grace us tonight, along with Mr. Gregory Morrison. He, you know, will join us if he gets to his location in time, and you know can join us. He will. And in the interest of time, we go straight into our program. There's a lot going on. Leonard, the Holy Week. You
yes, sir.
know, um, we we acknowledge on our program, on our Belizean Affairs show, we acknowledge the Holy Week, because it's truth, things that have actually happened. On that note, Leonard, we always start with a prayer, then followed by a reading, and I ask you to grace us with a prayer. Our Belizean Affairs show number 420. 420. Take it away, sir, with a prayer.
Thank you very much, sir. The privilege is mine to participate with you on your program tonight, and I'm glad that you have accorded me that opportunity. I'll just bow my head and say a prayer. Divine loving Father, once again we come before thy presence, asking that thou would accept our humble expression of gratitude and thankfulness to thee for granting us the privilege of life first and foremost, and the opportunity to still be alive among our family members, friends, and loved ones. Please continue to bless our country of Belize, its people and leadership. Please bless this country of the United States, its people and leadership as well. And we pray that thou mayest bless the rest of humanity, especially those people who are in war zones, who are being hurt and harmed for no justifiable reason sometimes. We pray that thou mayest be merciful unto them, loving Father. We pray that thou mayest have mercy upon those who have need of food and clothes and shelter as well. Please provide for them. We ask these mercies in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Are you back, Mr. Chairman?
Thank you very much, Leonard. I was sent a reading for us tonight, Leonard, and I will. It's from Second Timothy, Leonard.
Yes, sir.
So I will honor that wish from our, to
Is that,
our
is that 2 Timothy 3:16?
no
Study to
second
show thyself approved unto God, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the words of truth. Huh? That's not it, huh?
no sir, it's Second Timothy chapter 2.
Yes, sir. Go ahead. I'm
Yes
just
sir. Okay.
bantering.
Yeah. Okay, it says you then, my child, be strengthened by the grace that is in Jesus Christ.
Amen.
And what you have heard from me in the presence of many witnesses, entrust to faithful men who will be able to teach others also.
Amen.
Share in suffering as a good soldier of Jesus Christ. No soldier gets entangled in civilian pursuits, since his aim is to please the one who enlisted him.
Amen.
An athlete is not crowned unless he competes according to the rules. In in it is the hard working farmer who ought to have the first share of the crops.
Hmm.
Think over what I say, for the Lord will give you understanding in everything. Remember Jesus Christ risen from the dead, the offspring of David, as as preached in my gospel, for which I am suffering, bound with chains as a criminal. But the word of God is not bound. Therefore, I endure everything for the sake of the elect, that
Amen.
they also may obtain the salvation that is in Christ Jesus with eternal glory. The saying is trustworthy, for if we have died with him, we will also live with him. If we endure, we will also reign with him. If
Amen.
we deny him, he also will deny us. If we are faithless, he remains faithful. That's my reading from Second Timothy chapter 2, 1 to 10. Leonard, you want to have a little uh, 3 minutes before I
Uh,
actually
yes, sir. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Um,
welcome, sir?
I just want to say that currently I'm a little troubled, about how the system is being hauled and pulled, you know, in terms of our governance system. It's unfortunate that our leaders that we elect to lead us, when they come to us asking for our votes, they come with pleasantries, with a smile on their face, a lot of promises, they give away goodies, they do all manner of stuff just to gain our favor in terms of us casting that off, you know. And people go along and vote for them, different parties, right? They vote for different individuals. They vote for people that they think will do right by them. And they hope that they will, do right by them. But for whatever reason, even the very young politicians that just start out, they seem to be so innocent. And as soon as they win and they become the government, they all pursue this process of becoming millionaire. They forget about the job that they sign up for, that they ask to be given. That is to look after the well-being and the welfare of the people and take care of the patrimony of the country as a whole. And when the opportunity presents itself, that they should be able to uh, do something for themselves as well as for others. But these individuals that we have, apparently, I mean, in both parties, okay? Let me not just pretend that I'm speaking only to those who are in governance right now, because it appears that from the time of our independence, the trajectory or the record that we have as a country is that when we got independence under the PUP, and they were supposed to have been doing so good. Why is it that we accepted for them to be our leaders during independence time? And not long after we got independence, at the next cycle of the election, the PUP was kicked out of office. Why? They got big headed and they chose to do wrong because, okay, they were the previous government, and now that we have independence, they're going to run and control the process as they have done before. And everybody went doing their own thing, hustling. And then after that, the people that came in knew that the previous ones in PUP had been kicked out because of the way they were behaving. And a new group under UDP, started doing a lot of good when they first started. Like, they started to show good faith and, all that they were capable of doing. And by the time that cycle was finished, they were kicked out. They couldn't survive the whole 5 years. People got frustrated. And then they put back the PUP. And the PUP in the next cycle was kicked out. And then they put back the UDP. And in the next cycle, the UDP was kicked out. And it seemed like these jackals that take turns bamboozling the public and mistreating us when we give them the power. And each of them tried to do worse than the one that was in before, that was kicked out before. As of today, yet, well, the Musa government ended up with 2 terms, and they had to be kicked out because they couldn't survive 3. It got too good for them. And the UDP came in, and they survived 3 terms, and it got so good that they thought that maybe, they were like the best, they were like sliced bread to the people, right? Something new according to them. And they start getting mischievous and malignant. And then we kick them out. And now we have the PUP in office going for their second term, and they are doing worse than the UDP. Where do we go?
Thank you.
Are you back, Mr. Chairman?
Thank you. I I for one, since 2006, I announced myself as a independent Belizean, not affiliated with any PUP nor UDP. I have shiver ties from the People's United Party, as I was a PUP, and I have never supported a UDP government. But they have governed this country also. But I'm not a fan of the then. I mean, they at that time. Um, right now they are the opposition, and nothing changed. Like I say, what I would like to see is that these two party be no more. Like a new system. I would like to see a new system that you know uh, take the place of the two-party system that we have. But
How do we get that,
it,
Mr. Chairman? It's the
yeah,
same
that's
question I just asked just now. Where do we go from here?
yeah.
Because it's obvious we need a change. These jackals are not going to change themselves, and we can't change them. So where do we
So
go?
it's so sad, Leonard, because you see, I have always been saying, and we say it on our program, that as I speak, the ruling party is already grooming their grandson or their daughter or their son's son or to continue that dynasty. The same
Mm-hmm.
thing in the UDP, they you know, the old ones and say, they keep one coming back and they corrupt the little young ones that want to, come in. But it's just, the system, like I say, both of them, need to go in my humble opinion, and I want to welcome our next senior panelist, Mr. Gregory Brackett, our Monday night chairman. Welcome, my brother.
Thank
But
you, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to say good night to you people at home and abroad. I want to thank you for tuning in to this, the 420th edition of Belizean Affairs. I go back to you, Mr. Chairman.
thank you, Greg. I gives me pleasure, to sit with you guys. Um, the way we come to the public, we come to the public with all honesty and truth. And like I was saying, for me, we call a spade, and as simple as that. Um, those who love that, the way we come across, to the nation and to our Belizean people, they like how we you know, um, inform them. We inform them of what really going on, and in some instance, we are their voice. We advocate for them, and there are a lot of Belizean guys for you, that I know that grateful for the things that we put out to the public.
Mm-hmm.
They are grateful for it because other media houses, the paid ones and the ones in the country, do not put out the things that we put out and how we put it out. They have a different take on it. We have a straightforward take, and we call yes a yes, and we call no a no. If you're corrupted and we see where you're corrupted, we're going to tell you that you're corrupted, right? So, for those who appreciate us, thank you. But there are many that do not like what we say because they think that the things we say blaspheme their party in power. That's how they feel. That's a matter for them because to each his own. They have a reason why they say that. So that's all good. We appreciate that. So as for me, no one pays me to say what I say. I say how I feel and how I want to say it. That's me. You either like it or you don't like it. And that's your prerogative. And we are still friends, right? If you want to call me friend. What I'm saying is that, Leonard, we have a very peculiar public, listening public. Guys conscious of that, right? But anyway, enough of that. Everything that we speaks here is out in the public domain already, just that it's not circulated properly. And everything we speak is about our people and our nation. That's where it concerned, right? So, I'm glad for that to be a part of sitting with you guys, advocating for our nation and people and calling out the things that we see and how we see it. And we also offer solutions in our program. We offer solutions,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if they say, Leonard, I've heard, then guys only talk with no solution. No, no, you are wrong. You're so wrong. For those who think that way, you have a reason why you think that way, but I'm telling you, you are so wrong. We also offer solution, right?
They need to
So
listen longer, sir.
yes, sir. But guys, as for tonight program, I would like to let the Belizean people know that as for me, then I see a lot of problem in the NHI, right? When I say that, the name sounds good and everything, but I see problems in it as to our healthcare situation in Belize, right? I see a problem with that. Um, I have a problem with the way the Cuban doctors are being put out there now, 2026. There's a lot going on with that word, want to return and the Cuban doctors program. There's a lot to it. We have our own different opinion about it, and we will continue to talk about it because these are the people that comes from Cuba and they serve the Belizean people, right? And thing that we have been talking about for a very, very long time now is redistricting. We want to continue that, you know, let it doesn't go dormant, right? We want to let the government know that we are still interested and we are still we want to see them follow through this redistricting to the end, the proper way, the proper way. So, and the Constitution tells the government, the ruling government, how it should be done. It's in the Constitution. Um, we have the situation with, for me, the interest is all about our people, the bus situation, right? The independent bus owners now, they have gripes. We will talk about it. We don't want to talk about the government run. We'll talk about too bus service, right? And I listened lately on a thing that struck me when on the budget there, really not all of them had something to say because of election is near, so they have something to say to discredit you know um, the other the opposition. Talk about when the opposition one man, Mr. Mira from Belmopan. When the UDP was in power, they sold out all the land in Belmopan, all the public space. So I personally had made a comment on that. So maybe you were too young or you didn't know. I would like to know how much money the PUP collected from Mr. Julius spot. And this is just one place for the purchasing of the forestry department in Forest Drive, right? So that's to show you how the politicians, the boy, the guy just spewed out there like the PUP is squeaky clean the way he put it, right? Because there's no more land in Belmopan because of what the UDP did, right?
On
So
that
there's
on
no
that
more
point,
land.
on
And
that point,
to
Mr.
that guy,
Chairman,
I don't give a hoot. Go ahead.
on that point, he was speaking out of turn because
We'll
he
talk
should
about that
remember,
though.
yes, but he should remember that his one party had a major problem with the previous mayor of Belopan, and all of them ganging up on her because she was giving out titles to properties that were not being paid for adequately. And they came in and they took over the roads and start building on the roads and selling off the roads. They start selling off. That's all they do.
We,
Both
we,
parties.
yes, we will. That's something that we want to talk about because it strikes me to see how politics, and it's stupid politics in the House of Representatives,
Mm-hmm.
right? He's talking, if he have said something that people didn't know about or whatever, then he is a winner. But in my person, on his verbal, that speech he gave, he was absolutely a loser, big time. So, but that's something that things that I want to talk about, and Greg, I go back to you because I know that whatever we talk about, you backs up with whatever comes out of their mouth. You know, like I say, the healthcare situation is very dear to me, Leonard and Greg, because
So
because of our people, are poor and less fortunate, right? And they visit
it's gonna
these.
remain worse now
Yes, sir.
because
So it's very.
they're giving private contracts, and then now we are losing the Cubans now too.
Yeah.
So how are we gonna backstop or fill that gap?
So Greg, I want to go to you, my brother.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to say this. I heard the conversation while I was in the bus, and I heard what my cousin said based on our independence. But I want the people at home and abroad to understand when it comes to the country of today, both political parties, past and present, has never invested in infrastructure or for agriculture system in this country. And why they did not do that? Belize was a country of abundance. It was a money making machine through its agriculture, but they cut and they reap and they don't plant back, they don't invest in technology, and that is why we are where we are today,
Mm-hmm.
depending on tourism to keep us afloat. When based on world study, anyone who studies or read an economics would know in order for a country to survive, the first place you must look at, where its government to look at, is its agriculture. Because you must have agriculture to feed your population. So that is a no-brainer when you did not invest in that. I also want to say that based on the conversation again you guys was having, I have mentioned it on more than one occasion that we are living in a designer system designed to keep the lower class people in poverty, who is the backbone of this economy. It's not the big buyers or the big spenders who is keeping the country afloat. In fact, I will say this outright. Believe the economy is being run by the younger generation. And why am I saying this? The mothers who have to buy uniform and school provision, that is what is running the country. And we are falling in this gap. And I will tell you why. Based on this designer system, if you listen to what the present government is saying, they're doing an HI, they're doing a boost program, adding 5 million into a boost program for single mothers, etc. They're doing all that, but what they are not doing. We are here tonight, we are talking about the Cuban Brigade. Belize will lose 95 personnel who was here to help Belizean medically. And why is this happening again? It's not that Belize do not have educated people or individuals. Belize have some of the best nurses and doctors abroad. But again, it comes down to government not invested in them. Because the designer system is designed for the party in power to stay in power through handouts. And they have been doing this for quite some time. Had they made adequate jobs, the government would not have to be giving handouts. The people of Belize would not have to be selling their vote to help the party in power to win elections. Because what will happen, NHI will take a licking when it comes to the Belizean people and the taxpayers' money. Because the sending back of the Cuban brigades will mean we will not have those polyclinics to help
Mm-hmm.
in NHI. So the political cronies who have these private clinics will eat up all the money and we will have less in our polyclinics. We have to look at what is really happening in Belize. It's just like we don't have campaign financing and past and present government is surviving on the Chinese rate. All the Chinese stores that have run out, the Big Mama and Big Papa shop, the Panelists shop, the little bread and bun shop, because they cannot compete, they cannot pay the high taxes they want to open those little business because government refuses to do a new tax, refuses to do a new tax rate so that everyone can pay their adequate taxes. These are the things that is keeping Belizeans in poverty. Because when you have a store and it's a small store, why should you be paying the same tax that a big Chinese store is paying? Make that make sense to me. It is not making sense. But again, it comes down to campaign financing that is being issued to the party in power from all these different stores. And now there's a new form of campaign financing taking place because the present government has found a way how to do it. And people, if they are not looking and not listening, it is going by them. But I want to go to the tape to show the new form of campaign financing. Because as I said, these people are always telling themselves. So let's listen to this.
In a democracy, what is good for the government cannot be bad for the people. And what is good for the people cannot be bad for the government.
We came a long way. It's like over 16 years that it was basically like 2-3 houses in that area.
It was wild.
One high bush like jungle.
I want to take my lick. Say no water, no light. I tell her no worry about that. We have figure it out.
You know, you wonder when, how long it will take for this to happen.
A year ago, you were considered squatters.
We made a picado and we came in.
I'm a teenager.
Everybody said it was swamp, it was swamp. When we get in here, it was like gold.
Today, you're landowners.
Very
This that for we, and we proud of this.
Now we're claiming our house on the land.
They have worked so hard to make this happen for us.
This is a beautiful day, folks, because we are taking care of the people who have taken care of us. Because we wouldn't be.
I want to stop the tape right there because this is a new type of campaign financing. Next month, you will have a land clinic in the Pixac division. So what are the present government doing now? And it's not only in Belize. You're hearing about these land clinics all over. They are buying votes through giving away land. And that's the term I will use. They are purchasing votes through giving away land. But what are they not recognizing? You hear this beautiful speech, but what are the people not recognizing that is getting these lands? The government is talking about NHI. The government is talking about boost program. The government is speaking about the pantry that the school kids are getting, but the government is not talking about the creation of jobs. You are preaching education, but what is the light at the end of the tunnel? Because all that is happening years after years is these kids graduate, they go to college, come out, can't find a job, and end up in the street. Now you have highly graduated students from the university. They had took up the teaching profession. They don't want to do that because the BPOs are paying more. So it's not that we have limited talent. We have the talent, but the jobs are not paying. How could you as a university graduate to go work somewhere for $5 an hour that is highly qualified? So this conversation needs to be open and people need to really recognize what is happening in this country. I go back to you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Greg. Well said and real thing that is happening. Is and for those who are conscious, it's real. Leonard, on the what we talk about the NHI and the healthcare and situation
Okay,
for
thank
public.
you, Mr. Chairman. Our government apparently is of the impression that they need to yield to the request that the U.S. State Department for them to stop entertaining or having any kind of exchange or relationship with the Cuban people and its government. The Cuban people and its government saw that Belize was in a dire strait and they offer to send medical personnel to assist us with our deficiencies because we don't have any medical school around the ones that people come and get training and they go abroad. We don't have our own medical school that's training our people for our own local situation. We had the nursing school that became part of the UB, the University of Belize, but that's mostly a privateer endeavor. It's about private. You get your private money and you go and, or you borrow your money and you go and get your education and you do what you want after that. The Cubans, they've been sending in people to help us, especially in the districts and in the villages where people never had money and they couldn't pay private doctors for services. These individuals came in with the government assistance and they provided us, or they covered the difference for us. If our government was actually looking out for the well-being of the people, that negotiation that they had with the United States government or State Department for us to stop interacting with the Cubans, that discussion would have included something that would have gone like this. Belize is a small country. We don't have the amount of medical people that we need. If we stop accepting the help that the Cubans are giving to us, how are we going to supplement it? Shouldn't part of that negotiation be about having a proper supplemental to those services, getting some assistance for some medical help or medical equipment or whatever, something to fill the gap. That's what our government should have been paying attention to and negotiating on behalf of the people, so that if and when they would have gotten rid of the Cubans, there would have been something else to replace. And we wouldn't have more people getting sick without anyone to assist them or help them. That's what good governance is about. Because they can't say they won't give up the Cuban help. Otherwise, they can be stepped on. The U.S. State Department could just write a letter telling the U.S. Visitors that go to Belize as tourists that Belize is off limit to them and that they're not supposed to go there anymore. And that will break the back of our economy because we depend on a large scale on tourism. And a lot of our tourism comes directly from out of the United States. Whether they are Belizeans who go home to go visit their family, or they're just American people who just want to go and visit Belize because they hear so much about it. So we cannot object to being forced to give up the help that is being provided to us, but in exchange for what? How are we going to supplement it? We still need the care. We still need the medical assistance. And the government don't have the money to hire or to bring in people from other countries to come and help us. Where do we go from here? Are they opening up their mouth and are they pleading and supplicating or debating or pointing out these things? We are being told what we know, what we can't do. But are we pointing out what at least we should be able to do as an alternative? We need to fill the gap. We just can't do without the services. While these jackals, they go and they use up all the private and the government funds for them to go to their own private hospitals that they own. And they can get the service, but the masses of the population get none. I don't see that as being proper ethic in terms of how you manage a governance, sponsor, and supported system. Now they go and give contracts to their bodies at these little private clinics, when in fact that money should be given to the local government public clinics, as well as the local hospitals, regional hospitals, as well as the local tertiary hospitals. But there's no money for them. But the government can find money to give these other private entities contracts, annual contracts, so many millions. And it's not just one little clinic. It's every doctor that wants to open up their own little clinic gets one of those contracts. And most of the ones that they're giving it to right now are the PUP, because they are in power, they are giving their own cronies and friends and colleagues opportunities to succeed. What the Belizean people need is not just the success of the business people to scrape up the money from the public coffers into private hands. We need the service. And we need to be ethical enough that other Belizeans get an opportunity to succeed and survive as well. So I have a problem with them not opening up their mouth and negotiating properly on our behalf.
Thank you. Thank you, Leonard. Thank you, Greg, for that input. Well said and truth. I think that.
Mr. Chairman, if I may do a short rebuttal.
Go ahead.
Based on what my cousin said, Mr. Brackett, that is exactly why I said Belize was built on abundance, because it's the same thing with the Cuban Brigade. Past and present government were not worrying about having good doctors, Belizean born or nurses. They didn't care because we had the Cubans. But now that they are leaving, what do we have to help? And I will tell you what. NHI is private, public, public, private. nationalization under this government
It's a
from they
hustling
came
scheme, my
into
brother.
power.
It's a hustling scheme, sir.
And you know what will happen? The private part will make most of the money because the present government is not even buying medication in the hospitals and polyclinics around. So when you go to these private people, they're not only getting an NHI to see a patient through health, they're also making money for dispersing medicine. So they are actually taking over and taking away from what should be public private clinics, polyclinics, which not too many of them is around. And we need to really look and listen to what is going on. Because when you could have a court infested with mold that it has to close down to do repair, when you could have a polyclinic that is supposed to give help, take care of health matters, infested with mold that it has to be breaking down, then government is not playing its internal role. Even though we have sanitation and we have department that carries out inspection, building inspection. So what are happening to these departments? But Mr. Chairman, the biggest concern I have as to why this is happening is because of favoritism. On Wednesday, me and my cousin and Mr. Morris had a talk about racism, and I told him that it came in different forms. It's racism and discrimination. And I told him racism is total discrimination across the board, but not all discrimination is racism. And it happens when you go for a job in past and present government. They bypass you and they take their own. And Mr. Chairman, with your indulgence, I just want to prove it here from the Prime Minister's mouth.
Asked Prime Minister Briceño about the numerous allegations of nepotism since the PUP took office and the recycling of some of the same faces for high-ranking positions. In short, the Prime Minister's reasons for nepotism is that there is limited talent in the country and there are only certain qualified persons. Here is a replay of that part of the PM's comment.
The word nepotism is being thrown out there, sir. What is your comment on the fact that you have these persons who are close to your government and ministers who are occupying these posts who have been appointed by you, some of them, if I'm not, all of them, if I'm not mistaken?
I think that the question that we need, that I would rather you ask about the quality of the people that I am appointing, and I believe that I have appointed with consultations with different ministers and ministries and everybody else, people that are qualified. Now, if I had just appointed people just because they are family member of a minister or my friend or whatever, and they're not qualified, then I think you have every right to be able to make a case. But when you're looking at just say 20 out of hundreds of people that we have to apply, Belize is a small society. We have limited talent. And so we have to use what we best have. I mean, and in some instances we can't get the very best, but we put a good team. And that's what we do. We have put good teams made up of women and men, people in business, people in academia, to make sure that we have this balanced people that are big in business and small in business. So we have this right balance so that we can be able to go and serve the people as best as we possibly can. So the question is, are we appointing people that are qualified, that are people that can do the work? And the question is going to, and the answer will be overwhelmingly yes.
Sir, but at the end of the day, you are appointing individuals who are family members, and those of us looking on from the outside cannot get away from that. These are close to ministers.
And as I repeat it again, that why would you not want to name a person that is qualified and could do a good job just because he or she is related to a minister? Now, if that person is not qualified, or if you're just taking all your family members and just fill them out in these boards as to what has happened before, then I think a case can be made. I think I have, in good faith, appointed people that can do the work, people that are qualified, and having that good mix of people that can best represent the people of Belize.
So there you go, Mr. Chairman. As I was saying, it speaks for itself. I go back to you, sir.
Thank you. I want to welcome Mr. Gregory Morrison. Welcome, sir. Glad to have you. And you have the floor, sir.
Good night, Mr. Morrison.
Good evening.
Thank you for being here, sir.
Thank you. I saw the last clip there, and all I will say on that is that most of the other people don't have any talent, and probably the only people that have talent is his family. So that's where we go with that. But it is something that has been right in Belizean society for a long time, how appointments are made. And of course, if someone is qualified, you want to give them the job, but you want to make sure that there's also a level of fairness in it, because for every job, there are lots of qualified people. And it is not fair to just stock everything with your family because they're the only qualified one, because they're qualified. There have to be some fairness in this. And I think by constantly bringing it to his attention and to all the ministers' attention and to all political parties' attention, that people are concerned about this and they're not going to accept it. And they will hold these ministers accountable for this, and that there will be extra scrutiny on these appointments to make sure that they're in fact capable and in fact doing the job. There isn't much you could do once it seems we elect a member of parliament, that we have control over them to persuade them to do the right thing and to do what's just. But by holding them accountable and questioning their every move, and by making sure that these appointments are meeting the responsibility and service to the people, is what we are left with.
Thank you, sir. We also, Mr. Morrison, had touched the NHI and the healthcare situation and the Cuban.
Yeah. Well,
the Cuban doctors.
Yeah.
Quickly on that, your take on that.
Well, we know that health care and health services is important, and it's particularly important for many Belizeans in the diaspora that wishes to return to Belize, because we have a decent and good health care here. It's accessible to us. It's the quality of service most of the time is top notch. The system is a little labored sometimes, but when you move to Belize, you want to make sure that the service is available, and that's why I keep hoping that they will improve the existing medical infrastructure there. And I was concerned when they wasted money buying land for the Belmopan Hospital. On the area of the Cuban doctors, we're hard pressed, because Belize is in a tough position when you're facing the United States with their current administration and policies, and their take on how they want to see things, and have the rest of the countries of the Caribbean, Latin and Central America, and even areas in Africa where they want to have us return these medical professionals. So it seems to me that Belize the government doesn't have much power in how things are going if the policies persist that's being espoused from Washington. I think we will have to do what needs to be done and put a nice, graceful closure on this. But I'm hoping that we could also consider options. I'm thinking that probably if we could offer the doctors, I don't know how this may conflict with any memorandum of understanding or between the government of Belize and Cuba, but I would like to see that we, if it's possible, that we could offer these doctors some type of permanent residency or citizenship, dual citizenship, so that they can, in fact, stay in Belize if they choose. I think that would be a good option, but all that is difficult to understand how that could work out. But that to me seems like it would address the U.S. concern about, having their money shipped to Cuba and supporting that government. Um, and so for that reason, I think we are walking on a very dicey platform in terms of how much Belize can push forward with trying to keep them there against the wishes of Washington. So with that, I yield back. Those are my
Thank
points.
you. Thank you very much. Thank you. At least I wanted you to keep up, with our
Yes.
past conversation, and to in sync with what we were talking about. Well said there, Mr. Morrison, in your own words, and that's, how you see that. But
Yes.
yes, thank you. As for me, I think that there should be no gamble on our healthcare of the nation. Um, I think that the present Briceño administration should think long and hard that who will suffer if because they have nothing to replace the Cuban doctors. They have nothing in place, and if these people just pack up and leave, it's going to leave a society in desperation. Um, a lot of people will punish on their illness.
They will
They will,
die. They will die.
yes, yeah, and I think that they should consider because it's important for the Belizean people to keep these Cuban doctors here because they're the one that has the healthcare situation as to where it's at right now. In terms of service, there is not much Belizean doctors in the country. When they get most of them get this nice scholarship and things, some of them those don't even come back. They move on to greener pastures. Although their scholarship is based sometimes on a taxpayers' dollars because of whatever, they get that nice little break, and I'm happy for them, you know. But in the other token that I think about my Belizean people also, um, the poor and less fortunate that uses the healthcare facilities, how they are going to be neglected. So I think that when the U.S. government comes and present that check, this is the check for you now. Did you follow through on sending the Cuban brigades out of your country because of whatever their reasons? I mean, it's all public. What I'm saying is that when they do so to Johnny Briceño, I think he should refuse it, right? And says no, the help of my. But I know for sure he does not have the balls nor the guts to do that. So I just so sorry for my feel so sad for my Belizean people. In terms of our healthcare, like I say, there's nothing in place to replace, and who does that? So,
Mr. Chairman, if I
Can I
may
just
say,
add something quickly?
Mr. Chairman, if I can quickly say this,
yes, sir.
based
Go ahead,
on the
Greg.
narrative of the Prime Minister speaking about limited talent, I want to say personally that there are many talented people in Belize and highly qualified. But that is not his agenda to take Belizean people, because I can go back and look what was done to Chief Justice Arana, to Miss Arana, acting Chief Justice. She was not chosen as the Chief Justice of Belize, and she is a highly educated individual. They went ahead and take a foreigner over her. So I just want to put that out there, and I can
So
speak of many more.
my take,
Um,
Greg.
Mr. Chairman, Mr.
Mike.
Morrison was trying to.
Oh yeah. Okay. Go ahead, Mr. Morrison. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Oh,
I didn't.
thank you, thank you.
I didn't
No,
recognize it. Go ahead.
no, I just wanted to follow up and say I agree what you're saying. I agree with what Mr. Brackett was saying, Gregory Brackett was saying. But I wanted to add also that, the Cubans have been Belize's friend. They have been our friend and have made it possible to some degree to bring along the Latin and South American countries to support our independence. Between Cuba and Panama, that was a masterful stroke with the effort of the former Prime Minister or first Prime Minister and Mr. Linda Rogers. They did a tremendous job in garnering the necessary support at the United Nations so that I think we were supported by all but one country in our independence. So we owe them that, and it is in that consideration we need to make the decision. But and I agree with you that it's going to be a hard look to kind of say no. But I think in national policies, there's a lot of at stake. There's the immediacy of the loss of the medical brigade, but I think things would turn worse much faster if we come up on the wrong side of the Marco Rubio policies at this time. So for that reason, I believe that the Prime Minister needs to think hard, he and his Foreign Minister, Mr. Um, Fonseca, because we're at a very touchy position or point in how policies are being aggregated, how they are being made, how they are being followed through with, and how vengeful and spiteful the consequences could be for a small country like Belize if we start losing the necessary support for our currency, which is tied to the that of this country, and also to the major dependency we have created ourselves in on foreign U.S. tourism. So those are sectors that I think would could be immediately impacted, that could put our economy in a tailspin and create a devastating blow to our society and the economics of our people.
Thank you,
Mr.
Leonard. Go ahead.
Morrison, I
I go
believe
to
in
I
what
go to I go to Leonard.
one second, Mr.
Okay, all right.
Chairman,
Go
Mr.
ahead. Go ahead then.
Morrison. I believe in a great singer that said a change is going to come. And I also believe about that currency you just mentioned. We need to start to change ours to the UN,
To the what?
to the Chinese money.
Thank you there, Greg. Leonard, your take there, Leonard. Go ahead, my brother. You have the
I
floor.
think, first of all, we need to understand what foreign affairs and other foreign countries' interest is all about. Okay? Under normal circumstances, foreign affairs should allow us, even as a small country, the flexibility of being able to determine our own policies, procedures, and protocols in terms of how we want to govern our country. Otherwise, if that is not available to us or afforded to us, it means then that the national integrity and independence of our country is being suborned, whether with a gun at our head or a gunboat, or whether maliciously on the part of whoever. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, what we're dealing with are foreign affairs and whose interest is being served. And whether that interest is being served with any sense of propriety or any sense of morals or ethics or professionalism or whatever you want to call it. There are so many different variables to that point. The fact is, America have a 50+ year embargo on Cuba, and it initially started out with the idea that they was going to embargo Cuba to the point where Cuba would have failed economically, socially, military, and in all aspects. And therefore, those who had run away from Cuba would have been able to go back to Cuba and take over the country. It never materialized. It didn't turn out like that for 50-odd years and counting right now. So now what's happening is that they're trying to recruit all the people in the Caribbean and elsewhere who could help put the pressure on the Cuban people for them to suffer enough so that they will turn around and overthrow their own government on behalf of foreign interests. Am I clear on that point? Or did I get there too quick?
Go ahead.
No, it's very serious. I didn't want to pass over it quickly on this.
Yeah. Point taken here.
I just want for effects, basically. I was trying to be mischievous when I did that. The rest of the Caribbean and the rest of the Latin American countries, and I would say even including the United States of America, should not be pressuring or be pressured into committing a crime against humanity in terms of the mass population of a country such as Cuba to be brought to their knees where they don't have medicine, they don't have food, they don't have fuel, they don't have nothing. And then you expect them to be able to turn around and rebel against their military government. It doesn't work. It hasn't worked, and it will never ever work. The United States of America will have to go in there after they finish with Iran, if they survive, and do what they did in Venezuela. Because those people in Cuba, it's not all of them are against their government.
Mr. Brackett,
they're not all stupid.
Mr. Brackett, excuse me, I think you're speaking out of context.
Go ahead
after
then.
they finish with Iran, or after Iran finished with them?
I got your point. Your point is well taken, but that's not where I was going with it. That was not my point. My point was that don't care how much effort we, the neighbors of Cuba, expend to try and put them in a corner, they're still going to survive. They're still human beings. And they have been surviving despite all the pressures for the last 50 odd years. The fact that we now are being recruited to be malicious towards those people in order to punish them more. All we're doing is putting ourselves in a situation where we're damned if we do and we're damned if we don't. We're damned if we do turn our back against those people because of the humanitarian issue, as well as their support to us in terms of when we Belize wanted to become independent, they were there for us. And they have been there for us until today that we're still having this conversation. They don't have a lot of resource. They don't have a lot of American dollars going there for tourism like we have, at least going to our country. And therefore, I accept what the premise that Mr. Morrison conveyed, which we still have to pay attention to, that we're not so gung-ho about wanting to help Cuba at least stay alive, if nothing else. And because in order for us to help the Cuban people, the government as a government will survive. And if we don't help the Cuban people, the government will still survive because the government always take or survive off at the top of the cream of the crop. Whatever assets they have and whatever the peoples have available to them, from time immemorial, from ancient times, the leaders of the country always get the best for them to survive off of, and then the rest of the country or the people then gets the scrap. That hasn't changed, and it will not change. So for anybody to recruit us Belizeans or any other Caribbean country or any other Latin American country to starve the Cubans then, to deprive them of any comforts of life, whether it be gas or whatever, is immoral, highly unethical, and I'm saying is an international crime. So now we, the Belizean people, have to suffer some inconvenience and or some pressures on our head for wanting to continue a relationship with a country that has been there for us and helped us. Now that we have a different administration in the U.S. with a much more malign attitude towards the Cuban, because Mr. Rubio, as the head of the State Department, his family is one of the group of people that was pushed out of Cuba because they were abusing the people. They were using the island as a whorehouse and as a casino and as a slave place where all the black people in the country were basically either in prison in those big jails that they had, or they were modern slave on the farms, in the tobacco and farms and the cane farms and different things. A lot of people don't understand and know why is it that the United States of America have this problem with the Cubans. It's not because the United States of America out of the blue one day decide we're going to punish the Cubans. No. The present government is doing a favor on behalf of some of the Cubans that were expatriates or who left Cuba and who are now good buddies to the people that are controlling the powers of governance in this country. And that's what it's all about. There was a time, Mr. Carter, there was a time when Mr. What's his name? Obama was trying to act civil towards the Cuban people. And there was a little space where the interest of the United States was being served, while at the same time, the Cuban people were not being pressured as much as they are being pressured right now. People need to learn and know and understand the history of these things. Otherwise, all we're doing is just getting used, misused, abused, and at the end of the day, then kick your butt anyhow.
Thank you, Leonard. On that note, as per the healthcare situation in Belize, Belizean need to really pay keen attention of really what's going on, and I gonna close the NHI situation with this, that as for me, that money that Briseño put in the NHI, he should have equipped the hospitals across the country that the people use. Put the money there instead of rewarding individuals around the country for whatever reason, right? So, and on that tertiary hospital that he had a baby for, like maybe 100 baby, all that, like I say.
He forgot about that, Mr. Chairman. That was only a temporary thing for the electioneering purpose.
Yes, sir. I call on him to please use that and let it be bygones to the Belizean people. It was an electioneering venture, and you won, because even if you did what you said you was going to do a couple of years ago, right now, if that hospital would have been finished, there would have been no doctors to staff that hospital, unless if he was going to send all his family member to train for doctor. I'm just saying, right? No equipment in this hospital that you are going to build. So it was going to be you know, just the
A
word, yeah,
disaster.
we built, yeah, and a shell, and yeah, we built a hospital. Because the way you're going around right now, you want to take away, you want to, you know, help, assist in whatever the motive of the U.S. In fulfilling their motive, take out the Cuban doctor and disregarding the needs of the Belizean people. You're so wrong, Mr. Man. So that's my take on that. And Greg,
Mr. Chairman, if I may say this, it's a political blunder to win election.
yeah.
If you listen in the House during the budget, they were all attacking the leader of the opposition because they had a bloated budget. But I want you, the people at home
I
and
want to
abroad,
say
to
one more
know
thing
this.
before you go there, Greg. Give me a second, right? Just one 10 seconds. You know, and we here, maybe you do, Leonard, maybe Mr. Morrison or Greg, but I do not know the agreement, the original agreement that had happened between Cuba and Belize in reference to these doctors. Don't know what's in the fine print, but all I'm saying is if, the word if, that they were supposed to be here for a certain amount of years, well, then there goes the taxpayers again. We'll have to pay them. Or maybe the US will give Johnny Briseño a check to pay them for to make up their time, right? That maybe that's going to happen. But what I'm saying is that we don't know.
Remember, they're giving $140 million already. So
That's for a different purpose.
I know. I'm just saying they'll say find some money there. But yeah.
Mr.
But you
Chairman,
know,
to
I
answer
want.
that question, I
Okay, go
want
back
to
to you,
do
Greg. Go to
I,
you, Greg.
I want to do an exposure tonight.
Yes, sir.
I
Go ahead.
want the people at home and abroad and you guys to see what is really happening in the Belize. But before I do that, I want to say this and this NHI. Why I say it's a political blunder, 57 million, they speak about 325,000 people. That is $175 a year or $14 a month. Some of it will come from private investors, some will come from payroll out their own pocket. If it does not have the financing to curtail it, it will continue to be a political blunder. And I will show you one right now. And I want you, the people at home and abroad, to listen keenly because of what I will say after I do it. Okay? Before I go to it, Mr. Chairman, you can go to Mr. Brackett to
Oh yeah,
say
go ahead. Go
something.
ahead. Go ahead, Leonard.
Okay. Thank you very much. I would like to ask a straightforward question. We just had a budget read, and I haven't seen the complete details of that budget, but from what I've heard so far presented to me, there's no money allocated to staff to build that hospital, to do any remediation of the stinking mud or the toilet hole, okay, or any money to staff or equip that hospital. Those are major concerns that anybody in good faith should be addressing. I don't hear about it in the budget, and if it was there, all of us would have heard about it or known about it as of right now because it would have been a major focus. It was a major focus when they wanted to buy the land at the overpriced cost. They sold it originally to the people them for a little close to about $600,000. And within a few years' time, they were trying to buy it back from them. Not trying to because apparently they already completed the process. They bought it back from them for $7 million. I know for a certainty that that person only got about $2.5 million of that money. I'm not sure if he paid any taxes on it, if he wasn't grandfathered a tax-free status as well, which would have helped them to not have to report and therefore you would have no traceability in terms of who got what. And the claim could still remain that they paid the man, the Chinese man from Corozal, $7 million, well, 600 and almost $7 million for that piece of land.
6.9.
Yeah. My point that I'm trying to bring attention to right now is that the money for the land was spent to buy it. It is not feasible to build no hospital there, because even if they would have built it there, all the patients that would be going to that hospital would be exposed to diseases and other stuff that could make them sick. Not to talk about just the daily smell when the sun had come up or when the rains come down. These people are not bamboozling any of us. Any of us who deal with mega projects understand those kind of mechanics and that kind of thought process and information that they need to bring
Thank
up.
you. Thank you, Leonard. Go to. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Chairman, gentlemen, and people at home and abroad. I want to make this make sense. We have a new national bus company, and I want you to listen to this.
With diesel at $14.55 per gallon, the Belize Bus Association is calling on the government to step in before they're forced to park their buses. They held a press conference today where the president explained that they've written to Minister Louis Abane with 3 requests.
We have wrote the Department of Transport and the minister asking for three assistance. One being remove the GST from the fuel for all bus operators. Remove the tax from parts or battery. The second request was we can reinstate the subsidy that was initiated in the time of COVID. Or 3, adjustment and raise in increase of fares in fuel. So we just wrote the minister yesterday, so we'll give him time to respond to us. And from there, I will meet with my executive and the members, and then we will plan our next course of action.
The crisis in fuel prices, we understand.
Now, gentlemen and people at home and abroad, this is important why I say this here. Because when this national bus company was coming around, the understanding was it would have been public-private with the backing of government. Now you hear these bus owners asking the government for assistance. But something has to be drastically wrong. Because let's listen to what the minister says.
All right, and so what has it been like transitioning in terms of the persons that are working, the employees? Have they been able to adapt to the style of management that you guys have? Because, you know, before this, they run their own show. So what has it been like for them?
No, listen, the fact that you have a James bus line or a Floralia or a West line that has been, they have been operating. And in the case of James, the oldest bus line operating. It means that you have had good employees over the years. You have solid people, solid drivers and conductors over the years. But they will be the first to tell you that you have many of them too who sadly are corrupted, and they have to learn that you work hard, you get your pay that you're due, and then the collections that are made are for the company because the buses need to be maintained, right? Other people need to get their salaries, etc.
To stop it right there, make it make sense. It either be a private public with government involvement, but according to what he said, it is as though government is not involved, because he is saying whatever money these bus owners make goes into the company. So it means they must buy their own fuel, run their buses, and the money that they make would go to the company, and they will get their pay. So in other words, their bus is being taken over and is run by the NBC, and they will get a pay. Make that make sense to me, because that is telling me the government is not involved. Because if they were, they shouldn't have to be worried about gas. I need some answer on that. Mr. Chairman, I go back to
Thank
you.
you. Thank you. Let me go to Mr. Morrison.
Yeah, I believe that they're running it something the bus line something like a cooperative kind of approach. So you're paying in, and then at some point you'll be paid back. Um, you get your dividend, your shares, or whatever from the operation of it. So they're responsible to run their day-to-day operation. There'll be a centralized ticket collecting process. And as I said before, I'm not against the management and the improvement that's necessary. We hope it takes shape. We hope what they promise happens, because the people of Belize do need a good, safe bus service. The,
But
the, the
excuse me,
problem,
Mr. Morrison,
the
I
problem,
want to say this. If what you are saying is true, then I have an issue with it because it means it has been set up for the private part of the company not to lose. Period. It means the bus owner in the corporate section will have to work their asses off, make sure they come up with their money to keep the private side afloat. That doesn't make sense to me. I
I,
go
I,
back
I,
to you, sir.
Go
I
back,
think
back, back to you, Mr. Morrison.
it,
You got 3 minutes.
okay. I think it is a good solid process, but it needs to be thought out, and it needs to be organized and structured so that it in fact works and serve. Because as I said before, they were going to get new buses. It will help because it will not be at the fluctuation of gas prices, diesel prices. They will need to build the infrastructure to support electric buses and so forth. With the rate of electricity, I think that will be another issue too. I think it's, what is it, 39 cents per kilowatt hour in Belize. And then when you have those high power factor for bus charging station, there's usually an additional charge. So there's going to be issues still to be worked out, but I think it's going to reduce some of the immediate demand on fuel. I, a lot of, I don't know what percentages of our electric generating capacity is still being done by diesel generators versus the dam and the power purchase agreement from Mexico. So all those will need to be factored in to see what mix provides the most economic solution for our problem. Um, the agreement with the individual that did not join the organization or the new bus company, they're asking the government to provide some relief and um, concession to them at this point, and I think that is just and fair. With fuel price being $14, diesel fuel price being $14 a gallon, it is going to be hard for anyone to survive in that type of environment, and so I hope that there's something that the government can do for that segment of the operators, because they do need the, the support that could be lended so that they don't fail, because they do provide a needed service. You're going to say
Yes.
something.
Thank you very much, there, Mr. Morrison. Thank you.
Thank
For Leonard, you got 3 minutes for your closing because we're just about time. Go
I'll,
ahead.
I'll, I'll give my I'll give the headline to my summary first, and then
Yes, sir.
I'll banter around
Yes, sir.
how I got to the summary or the headline.
Yeah.
The headline is, as I have said before on this particular platform on more than one occasion, when they started out with this issue of trying to create a national bus company, I pointed out that we have had that situation before attempted. It didn't work out too well for various reasons. But at the end of the day, I resorted back to saying that this particular endeavor is being set up for a private buyout at some future date. All indications to me, I could be wrong. I mean, I'm not the only person who have an ability to look at things and perceive it and analyze it and look at the history of it. And I'm not the only. Other people have the capacity to do the same. So their assessment or conclusion may be different than mine. But from my vantage point and my understanding of the circumstance, it appears to me from the get-go, the attempt was to squeeze out some people, and those who will remain as a part of what would seem to be a viable undertaking, they will end up being bought out at the end of the day because it is being set up to fail. Now, that is my headline summary, and I'll explain a little of my rationale for getting there. For example, you cannot have people who have an independent bus company as it was before, individuals. Some of them have maybe 2 bus, 3 bus, some of them had 10 bus, whatever amount, different groups of people having different runs. And part of what the problem used to be was that their runs were overlapping each other's run, and that was never solved by the government, which they could have done. Because even right now with the new bus system, they have these schedules, and people are missing their schedules and or not getting enough clients on their schedule. Therefore, they are not making as much money. Why it used to be a problem for them to be rushing and haggling with each other and running past each other and overtaking each other and all those kind of crazy things, because they were all on the hustle. Everybody is trying to make their own money. With the way it's being set up right now is that you're going to provide your buses to run. The money will get collected by the central authority of the national under the scheme of nationalization or national status. Somebody will sell the tickets and they will control the money, and you will put your buses on the line to run. You will get some gas to run your bus. Maybe you will have a credit or whatever. I don't know. They have different ways to do it and make it work. But the people that's running the bus now are running their own private bus. They only had a sticker attached to their bus. They say they belong to their organization. They're still responsible for the employees. They still have to pay the employees, whether they're daily, weekly, or however. And what it means, some of the complaint just now about is that all the tickets are not being sold for the bus at the bus stations. They still have people who collect money on the bus privately, on behalf of the bus companies, them, who sometimes they're not putting the full amount of money in at the tail. They keep only beating out in pocket, And that's been going on. That goes on and has been going on and will continue to go on. Because you will have people who catch the bus on the road at different points. And that's how these people are, But anyhow, I don't want to get into all the detail of that because
I just wanted to add. I just wanted to add to that.
That's it. Okay. Greg, we are about out of time. Mr. Morrison, I want to go to you for the closing, and then Greg could go ahead. You have the last take there, Mr. Morrison. Go ahead.
Before Mr. Morrison takes off, for housekeeping purposes, where are we right now?
33.
33?
Yeah.
We could go to 45 if we don't want. So
okay then.
You have to share.
Okay then. All right. Go ahead now.
I will yield, gentlemen, because I have something to do.
Okay.
But it's a nice open conversation, and just for thought of me leaving, I would say I would never join a company where I will have to take my personal bus to put into that company, and I will have to do all the servicing and the fueling. I thought when they said a national bus company, it would have been backed by government and you wouldn't have a gas problem and all that. But the way I see it is as though your personal bus becomes theirs and you are running it for them.
For them to determine who are going to get the big salaries, them, who will be the executives, and holy and cream. But anyhow, the initial.
With that said, gentlemen, I want to say good night.
Good night.
It's been a pleasure.
The initial.
Thank you. Thank you. I'll go back to Mr. Morrison.
Make a close that, sir. The initial concept was to have the European people help us with our transportation. That's how the whole thing started off. But instead of them get the European people to give us some of the bus, and they give the bus drivers them one or two bus depending on, so they could recycle and eventually change over from the old bus to the new bus. They want to capture the thing, and that's where the whole problem starts from. Government getting involved and try to manipulate and create laws and rules and regulations to capture the situation so that at some future date, the whole damn thing is going to be sold out to a private owner because it's going to be forced into that angle. I yield back. I'm sorry about
Point taken, yeah. Point taken. Go ahead there, Mr. Morrison, your point of view.
I as I said, and I keep repeating, don't want to sound like a broken record, but I do believe that it is the need was there for some type of organization. We saw so many times the racing down the road to try and get to a spot, and many of it, like you said, Mr. Brackett, was hustling because they're trying to capture more passengers so that the take that they could put in their pocket could be greater.
It's happening right now, sir. They are
Well,
cheating each
well,
other. That's why the bus driver gets out of the bus the other day and gang and fight the other one in the other bus.
Yeah, but that's before the national bus company came on.
No, right now. What was it, about a week ago that happened?
Like 3 weeks ago.
That was the bus company just got in recently, a week or so.
What I'm talking about just happened recently, okay?
Okay.
Oh, I'm not aware of that then.
Go ahead, Mr. Morrison.
Yeah, but we'll have all kind of funny thing going on. It has to settle in. We need to let the system develop. We need to take out the incentive that now a passenger cannot pay with cash. Then I don't know how they set it up at the stops, whether there's going to be a token point where you buy a token or whether you purchase it on your smartphone and it gets scanned and so forth. But there are ways to make it cashless or let me finish. Let him finish.
Leonard, then I'll go back to you.
Clarify that point for you. You put it out there as a question. I was just trying to clarify the point.
Okay.
Where it happens right now is that you could actually have an e-card where they could sell you at the bus station. You could buy it anywhere, and you could get at the bus there. That the bus and on that card, you can swipe the e-card and deduct whatever distance you want.
That's what I'm saying. So that takes away the incentive for the individual bus driver, conductor to be requesting money and putting money in their pocket.
There are people who get on the bus on the road itself at different points as the bus travels. That's going to become the biggest part of their problem. How are they going to solve that? Because that's
what I'm saying. Each bus stop. That's what I'm saying. Each bus stop now need to be fitted with a machine that will provide that token, or you could purchase it online and download it to your smartphone. Those are the options you'll have.
Everybody have a smartphone.
Well, that's why you buy a token at the kiosk. The process is being developed. The process is not there yet. But what I'm seeing and hoping is that they will develop a process that will remove the incentive that allow people to be pilfering the cash that's coming in. That it will take away the motivation for people racing down the road and putting everyone's lives on the bus and on the road in some sort of danger because of their recklessness. This is what we hope will be the result. And there's no guarantee unless they put up the proper structure and maintain it and enforce it and make sure that, as it is said, people on those buses on the road should not be standing. There should be a seat for everyone. So it will have to be monitored by the transportation department to make sure that there's enough buses on the road to support the need, so that people are not at the stop getting bypassed and waiting a long time, missing their opportunity to get on the bus to get to work on time. I mean, it's a whole process and it needs to be worked out. And I don't take away from the effort to make it better, because things are not going well now and not fully in program now to make it work. I think it is a process that will eventually develop if we have the skill and the goodwill to make it happen. It's not a difficult task. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Morrison. Leonard, I give you 2 minutes,
Um, I'd
and
like
I'll
to use
take
my
3.
2 minutes. I'd like to use my 2 minutes on the NHI hospital issue. Can I do
Yes,
that?
sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I don't know how the government is going to get to a point where they will start focusing on the medical needs of the population and focus on that as a priority. Was one of the main priorities, because in Belize we have a lot of people that are sick, especially with diabetes. Why? Because a lot of people just use a little sugar in and coffee, or while you then put only water together, or while you provision bark, or while you fever grass tea, or and sugar on top of sugar on top of sugar, and all that are nice ripe fruits and so on that we consume. We have too much sweetness in our body, and that sweetness they kill away. Okay, the government can take its resources, instead of the paying a private clinic just to make people go visit or make them go hustle the money. Take that money, make it a mandatory requirement that in the budget, the allocation for healthcare purposes goes first and foremost to our polyclinics and our hospital, whether they're the regional hospital that needs funds, or whether it is the KHMH, or whatever. Provide the funds for those hospitals to function a little better than they are currently being functioning. That would be a request that I would have on behalf, to the government. And that's not hard to do. That should be part of the process of the budget, which is why I said earlier in my expanded comment that if they were serious about our medical and about doing these things for us, they would have mentioned these things in the budget, especially as far as the other hospital is concerned. And the money that we were borrowing at such a nice low rate to build that hospital, because it didn't get started off and built, it's going to be hard to come by now, because the people that were providing that for us, I think it was either the Kuwaitis or the
Kuwaitis.
Yeah,
Kuwait.
one of them,
Saudis.
Middle Eastern countries. Okay,
Saudi Arabia.
Nice. Yeah, they were giving us a nice deal, And for we leaders, instead of focus on getting the job done and dealing with the matter, the land was already available for the project at the Belize University.
Yeah.
And it was intended to put it as a part of the university to enhance the services and the functions of that university. They could have taken that $7 million and started doing something there to get the project going, and to have the people. If that money was, if the money was already starting to be spent and the hospital was being built, these people would have had a reason to say, well, we'll help them continue finish it, and hurt us that much. But now that nothing has been done, and the name players get bombed and all kind of crazy that moving, they don't have that second, attitude to say, well, like, deny themselves rebuilding in one country as compared to helping us to build something that we should have built long time ago.
Thank you.
Thank
you, Leonard. It's always a pleasure to sit in your company, my brother, Mr. Morrison. Thanks for gracing us tonight again. Your input. I hope that it rings a bell, and I hope that the Belizean people, learn something tonight and see. This is what we do on our program. We advocate for Belizean people, and the nation. And here again, I always say that on our show we offer solution, right? And there you go.
On that point about the solution, we will never hear again about that particular hospital being built at that location, even though the money was taken and spent. And if we try to get that piece of land sold to anybody else, nobody will pay us the price that we paid for it. So they got the politician, they got their money for the elections up north, which is what that whole deal was about. Okay? And we will never see that. I don't know, we might see the hospital somewhere in the future, even if we build it on our own. But we now get back the money. That's $7 million.
So true on that. Well said. Thank you, and Yeah, so true on that,
Yes.
and I am with you on
So
that. That's my take
I
on
just
that
want,
also.
I
Um,
just,
Mr.
I just
Morrison,
want to,
I'll go to Mr. Morrison for the closing. Like I said, there were some other issues that we really wanted to talk about, but on our next program,
yes,
time is always
Mr. Chairman,
essence.
Mr. Chairman, we could use part
Uh,
of Friday for the rest of what we didn't get finished tonight.
Friday, yes,
Yeah,
yes,
pick up part of.
yes. And on that note, I go to Mr. Morrison. Mr. Morrison, you have I'll give you 3 minutes, sir, and then we will end the show.
okay, thank you. I just want to say that, we are always concerned when government sort of goes off drifting and misuse the resources of the country and forget how limited those resources are and
Mhm.
how precious and how meaningful it could be to solve the real problems that we have. And $100,000 here, $1 million here, $2 million here adds up to a chunk of money when it's misspent and could be a lifesaver for many people and many parts and areas of and structures of areas of our society that suffers from some type of structural poverty
Mhm.
or
Truth on that.
loss of resources that could benefit them significantly. Education is one of those resources. Um, Job training opportunities are some of those
Amen.
resources. Housing for the poor, programs that help people move away from crime that are adjacent to it in terms of giving them greater opportunities and exposures to other lifestyle. Those are some of the areas. Even for single mothers and people experiencing domestic violence and all those things. Sometimes a little chunk of money, little bit of money, $100,000 placed here in a community program could make those differences that provide
Yeah,
upliftment
right.
and changes to the lives of those individuals, and therefore put the society and the structure of families on a whole different direction. And
Thank
so,
you.
and so we have to constantly be able to point out when we see the misuse of resources, small and large. And in most of the instances we have, it is large and very large. We have all this misbehavior and problem with our lands department where we are buying land and paying for land and swapping land and doing all type of stuff because they're selling and abusing and misusing the process. Some of it is accidental, some of it is caused from carelessness, but some of it is deliberate misuse of the process, and therefore it is costing us
Thank,
significantly. And those are tremendous resources that could be benefiting us. So thank you for your time, Mr. Chairman.
thank you very much, Mr.
Mr.
Morrison.
Chairman,
And
Chairman, the Prime Minister in the tape that Greg played earlier was saying that we lack talent. We don't have enough talent. That's why he always appoint the one that will have the talent that are his family members or friends.
well,
If you were to pay attention to what we were talking about here tonight and what other people have been talking about, if you was to be taking advice from people, whether it be free or for a fee, the country could be much better off because then they will be able to manage more equitably. But they refuse to. Are
thank
you?
you. Thank you very much. And like I say, in this time is always you know, we would want to go on for another hour, but unfortunately we cannot. And thanks to those who viewing us now and who will watch us a little later, guys. And thank you for supporting us. I mean, I don't mean with money, but with sharing and listening to us, right?
Well, one of
But
these days, start support us with money, Mr. Chairman.
well,
Somebody will pick up with program and sponsor a program at least for
well, that would be nice.
500 every month.
That would be in the budget. That
You mean the
next
national? It
budget.
ought to be. It ought to be because we're providing them with the talent that they don't have. But they said they don't have. Because of that
Thank
crazy.
you. Thank you, guys. Mr. Morrison, again, thank you. Leonard, thank you for tonight's program. Hope that it benefits our Belizean people and they learn something. And because say some love what we say and some don't prescribe to what we say and how we say it. But that's their prerogative. What can I say?
We're just
Morrison, Mr. Morrison, thank you and good night, sir.
Doing a little part, and that's it.
Yes,
We can't do everybody wants.
looking forward for Friday, God willing, Mr. Morrison.
Yes.
I know you.
It's Good Friday. Friday is Good Friday. Are you having a program Friday?
Oh, I don't know, Leonard.
Well,
for those who are listening to us, at least they could, hear us from the horse's mouth.
No. You gentlemen will have to need time with families and friends and other things.
So we'll postpone Good Friday. Okay.
If I got most of the
how Monday? Monday, Easter Monday.
Oh, sure. Yeah, we are in that season now.
Yeah. So
something
we want to do till next Wednesday.
I don't have a problem with that for you.
Well,
guys.
think about it, and shoot us a little and see if we agree on it. We go on a vote.
No, as
me,
far as
me, Mr. Morrison, and Greg will go on a vote on whatever you come up with.
I'm saying that you gentlemen, in all honesty, should take the time for family. It's that time of the year, and you should, accommodate the family. And I could just, in the interest of my own personal agenda in terms of that constitutional thing, there's a lot from that report that the government, that the Prime Minister.
So Mr. Morrison mentioned Good Friday, and we got Easter Monday coming up.
I want to do something Good Friday. I'll do that on my own.
On Good Friday?
Yes, sir. I'll do that.
Okay. Well, right away, you're on your own.
By Easter Monday, we could figure out what else is there.
Okay. Well,
I'm scared that these guys are going to drop the constitutional change on us any minute now.
Okay.
Which constitutional change?
From the PCC that they were proposing. They put it in hiatus right now, but the way these guys operate is,
but we giving it away, Leonard. So you want to end the show, please? You didn't end the show.
I'm sorry.
Please, yeah.
Okay. Just give a last.
Say good night, and to our viewers and listeners, and hope that tonight's program be of some benefit, to you or listening public. Thank you again, Mr. Morrison and Leonard, for tonight's show. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thanks to Mr. Gregory Brackett also.
Yes.
He was a little early. Yeah.
Sorry about talking about the screening stuff. We normally would do that after the show.
You're still on, yeah.
Let me take it off.